All right, let's talk about what might just be the single most important skill for your career success: professional communication. Think of it like the invisible engine that drives everything, from promotions to successful projects to great leadership. When you get it right, it opens doors. But when you get it wrong, you might find your path blocked, and you might not even know why. So let's break down what it really takes to master it. First things first, let's talk about the stakes. And believe me, they are high. The cost of getting communication wrong isn't just a small issue. It's this number: $2 trillion. Yeah, you heard that right. That is the insane amount of money US companies lose every single year, all because of poor communication. This isn't just about hurt feelings. We're talking about a massive financial drain that hits productivity, projects, and the bottom line hard. And here's where that cost really hits home. A study found that a whopping 44%, nearly half, of all failed projects are because of one thing: poor communication. Almost half, just let that sink in for a second. Nearly every other project that goes off the rails does so because a message got twisted, a deadline was unclear, or a team just wasn't on the same page. This really proves that communication isn't some soft skill. It's an absolutely critical business function. So to make sure your projects and, hey, your career don't end up in that 44%, here's our game plan. First, we'll dig a little deeper into the high cost of miscommunication. Then, we're going to nail down what professional communication actually is. After that, we'll talk about how to navigate different situations at work, look at some of the most common mistakes people make, and finally, we'll get you set up with a practical toolkit for success. Okay, let's jump in with the real-world impact of miscommunication. It's so much more than just, a simple misunderstanding. It's like a domino effect that can ripple through an entire organization, and it affects everything: people, projects, and profits. So here's how that domino effect works. It often starts with the individual, right? Causing stress and burnout when roles and expectations aren't clear. That stress then infects the whole team, which leads to missed deadlines and, you guessed it, project failures. But it doesn't stop there. This internal mess eventually spills outside the company, and that's when you get lost clients and a damaged reputation. It is a chain reaction, and it all starts with just one poor communication.
Okay, so if poor communication is that damaging, what does good communication actually look like? Let's build a really clear, practical definition, because it's crucial to understand what it is, but it's just as important to understand what it isn't.
So at its core, professional communication is three things. It's structured, it's intentional, and it's always focused on achieving a goal. This isn't about just casual chit-chat. Think of it as a strategic tool that we use to get work done effectively. Every professional email, every meeting, every message should have a clear purpose. Let's look at a super practical example. On the left, you've got a casual request. Hey, can you get that thing done soon? What thing? How soon? It is just full of ambiguity. But on the right, you have a professional one. It specifies the exact task, the quarterly report, the deadline, Friday at 3 p.m., and the reason so we can review it. This professional approach gets rid of all the guesswork and sets a totally clear standard for success. Now, here's a really important point. Being a professional communicator isn't about having one single rigid style. It's about being a chameleon. You have to adapt your approach based on the context, who you're talking to, and the situation. Effective communication is never one size fits all. A really big distinction to make is between internal and external communication. Internally, a mistake might lead to some inefficiency or lower morale. But externally, when you're dealing with clients or the public, the stakes are way, way higher. A single misstep can damage the company's reputation or even create legal problems. The audience always dictates the level of caution you need. And within those contexts, we have formal and informal styles. Formal is for the official stuff, things that need to be documented. Informal is for the day-to-day interactions that build team chemistry. But here's the absolute key. Informal never ever means unprofessional. Even a quick chat message needs to stay clear, respectful, and appropriate for the workplace. The goal is always clarity, not carelessness. All right, so we know what to do. Now let's flip the script and talk about what not to do. Honestly, understanding the anatomy of a communication breakdown is the best way to stop one from happening in the first place. Every single communication follows this basic model. A sender sends a message through a channel to a receiver, who then gives some feedback. Seems simple, right? But a failure at any one of these steps can cause a complete breakdown. And while we often blame the sender, choosing the wrong channel can be just as damaging.
And that brings us to this all too familiar phrase. We've all been there, right? We've all thought it. This is the classic example of a failure in choosing the right medium. When you call an hour-long meeting to deliver 5 minutes of information, you haven't just been inefficient, you've disrespected your team's time. And that erodes trust and morale. Choosing the right channel for your message is so fundamental.
So besides choosing the wrong channel, there are a few other pitfalls that are just incredibly common. I bet we've all seen them. Making assumptions instead of just confirming. Using vague words like quickly that mean totally different things to different people. Listening only to figure out what you're going to say next, not to actually understand. And using jargon that just confuses new hires or people from other departments. Each one of these is a roadblock to getting anything done. Okay, we've seen the costs, we've seen the pitfalls. Now for the most important part, your toolkit. Let's build a set of core principles that you can start putting into practice, like today. I want you to treat this as your pre-flight checklist. Before you send that email or walk into that meeting, just quickly ask yourself, is this clear? Is it concise? Is it respectful? Does it have a clear outcome? Like, are you just giving info or do you need a decision by a certain time? Is your information accurate? And maybe most importantly, are you ready to really listen, not just wait for your turn to talk? Running through this simple mental checklist can prevent the vast majority of communication failures. If you remember only one thing from our time together, please let it be this. Meaning is not what you intend to say, but what the other person actually understands. The responsibility for clarity is always on the sender. It's not about what you meant, it's about what they understood. That little mindset shift is the entire foundation of professional communication. Mastering these principles is about more than just being a better coworker. It's really a form of protection. Strong professional communication protects you from misunderstandings. It protects your team from inefficiency and frustration, and it protects the whole organization from those huge financial, cultural, and legal risks we talked about. It's a foundational skill for a resilient career and a successful business. So, I'll leave you with this one question to think about. Based on everything we've just covered, what is the one communication habit you are going to improve starting today? Whether it's just double-checking for clarity before you hit send, or maybe practicing active listening in your next meeting. One small, consistent change can make a massive difference in your career.